So proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
Ladies and gentlemen, that was take six. Give them a great big hand. Great big hand. It's a little loud. All right. So without further ado, we are gonna hop on into this thing. Thank y'all for coming on with us on this Memorial Day. If you have anyone that died in battle or whether they were in the military and just passed away, we send our thoughts and condolences. Um, Thank you to all the ones who have gone on for your services. We will never forget you. You will never be forgotten. But without further ado, we are bringing a young man to the stage. He really don't need an introduction. He's one of the biggest promoters, not in just gospel, but just in music, period. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Dorsey. Give him a great big hand. Great big hand.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Paul, I appreciate you for coming on, my brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Man, how you doing on this wonderful Memorial Day?
I'm doing good. Just finished eating out. I grilled out today for my kids, so it's wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, you ain't eat too much, did you?
No, I try not to eat too much before the interview. Though.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about this, man. I know I normally do like artists and stuff, but Roy was the one that gave me the idea to interview you.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, man, don't just stick to, he said artists fine, but reach out to people like Paul and other promoters and just other people. Like, you don't necessarily got to be artists. And so here we
You
are.
know, um, I've I've been booking a long time, and of all the groups I've booked, Roy would always be my signature group because I can honestly say that, you know, I feel like I gave him his, not his start, because he was singing before I booked him, but that night, 2012 in Atlanta, Georgia, I can say Roy made his mark in the gospel music world that night. And I felt like, I'm a part of that. And that's the only group that I can honestly say that I feel that, went national, that I had a part of. So he will always be, uh, on my heart for that.
Hey, and I appreciate you because you have really made a big impact. And we hope to work together again soon. So
That's it.
without further ado, let's get into it. So give us a brief synopsis of you as a young man. Just tell us about yourself.
I was born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. Went to Fulton County schools. Raised up in what we call a lot of the entertainers called Kylie Paul, Georgia. Um, Went to Union Grove Baptist Church growing up. Started singing with my brother at the age of maybe 12. Start playing drums. A lot of people don't know I'm a drummer. I'm originally a drummer. Start playing drums for my uncle group, the National Travelers, around about 83 till up to about 89, 90. And I got with my brother, Jairus, the Gospel Gents. We traveled. We did a lot. Started promoting concerts in 2004. 2004, 5, I started promoting. That's when I started promoting gospel concerts.
Okay, so how many instruments can you play?
Just one. And honestly, listening to the drummers now, I probably play a half of one.
I'm sure you did enough to do the
I
job. So
I was just a basic drummer. I wasn't fancy. I just kept it basic. You know, these young guys now, man, they can keep it basic and they can go out there and come back before I can even. Yeah, they good, man. They good. I got to give it to them.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's music is. I mean, it's always evolving. So
it is.
you got to
It
keep your
is.
mind sharp for sure.
You do. Yeah.
Okay, so when did you discover your love for music? Around what age?
I would say I was 5 years old.
Mm.
I was 5 years old.
What
Yeah.
type of genres were you listening to besides quartet?
Quartet. It's always been quartet. Always. I used to listen to the radio on Sunday mornings. They always played quartet music on Sunday mornings. I used to listen to the local groups. These come on the
Mm.
radio, and the promoter, Mr. Brother Esmond Patterson, came on every Sunday morning from 6 to noon, and he played quartet, and he brought all the major artists in, like I do now at the Civic Center. So my love would it's always been quartet,
Mm.
always. But it's funny, um, I sung in a choir before I sung quartet. Me and my brother, we sung in a choir at the church.
Wow.
Yeah, but my love was always quartet.
So you were never really big in like R&B or anything like that?
Um, Me and my brother sung. We did. My brother sung in like R&B. We would sing like at talent shows, or we could, like cookouts and stuff. People always want us to sing, and we would sing the old school R&B songs, but
Yeah,
never really like big on that. Always quartet.
got you. Who were some of your favorite quartet groups back in the day?
The Swanee Quintet, the Mighty Clouds of Joy. I like the Soul Stirrers. Uh, then the Cantons came along when the Cantons first came to Atlanta in 87, 88. The Canton Spirituals, of course, Doc McKenzie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mighty Clouds of Joy. Yeah, those were my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, can you remember the first major concert you ever went to?
Actually, yes. The first major concert I went to is a historical concert, because that was the same night Willie Banks had that wreck that
Mm,
he talked about in
right.
Georgia. That was in '82. That was Troy Ramey. And I'm sorry, I forgot to list him, but that was Troy Ramey's and the Soul Such's anniversary in 1982. It was at the fairground. It was outside here in Atlanta, Georgia. It rained all that morning, and the sun came out about noon, and it was nice, man. He had Willie Banks and the Messengers, the Pilgrim Jubilees, the Swanee Quintet. He had Slim. He had Tommy Ellison. Um, he had a lot of them, but that was the night that that was my first major concert, and that's when Willie Banks had come out with "Lord, I Know You've Been So Good" and "God Is Still in Charge." And that same night, when he left the concert, that's when he had that wreck. That was my first concert.
Wow. So that's
Yeah,
something you'll never forget that just because.
I will never forget it. Long as I live, I will never forget it. because it was because the mics wasn't working right when he was up. The mics wasn't, the sound system wasn't right, and he wasn't happy about that. But he still sung through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So, um, when you got up to like middle school, did you ever try and do any types of music or
I
from?
sung it. Well, actually, in high school, I sung in the show choir. In
Okay.
high school,
Okay.
yeah, I sung in the show choir in high school. I was always in chorus in high school. Yeah, but I started playing drums. I ain't gonna ever say professionally, but I started playing drums with my uncle them in like 83, 84. I started playing drums.
Okay. And did your family group, did y'all move around a lot? Did y'all do a lot of traveling?
No, it was actually my uncle with some other guys. We might have went to Alabama a couple of times. We might have went to North Carolina a couple of times, but it was nothing major. But they was big here.
Right.
They
Right.
was they were big locally. And when I found out that we really wasn't major, we did a show in Charlotte down at the Park Center.
Mm,
That was like in 80, I want to say in 86, 80, 86. And the Burden Lifter was on there. They had a lot of major groups, and we opened up, and that's when I found out we wasn't major.
what made you come to that conclusion?
Because the people didn't know, they didn't respond, and looked like they was ready for us to get off the floor.
Yeah, it
And
happened to the
then
best of us.
when the Burden Lifters came on, that's when they came out with Thunder, and the people just went crazy. Actually, every group after us, they went crazy on.
Wow.
So that should tell you, Slim used to always say, follow your music, follow your music. I will tell the groups today, a lot of times groups back in the day, their music was there before they went there.
Mhm.
But because they don't play radio now, so, some groups, they go into town their first time, people don't know them, but, you do have social media to where their music can, people can watch them on Facebook Live or something. But back then, the groups were stronger because their music went in front of them. Now you have to sing behind your music, and
Mm,
that's a big difference.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so we're gonna skip around some. When did you decide, or what influenced you to start being a promoter?
Well, it was two things. When I was singing with the gents, it was on a Friday night. It was Lee Williams and Doc McKenzie and us. I think it was one more group, me and my brother's group.
Mhm.
And we were in some part of North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. It was jam packed. It was sold out. And the promoter paid us, of course, at the end, like they forgot about you.
Right.
Uh, and I never forget, he had a briefcase. Everybody was gone, and I was the last one to get paid. And he opened up his briefcase, and he had a briefcase full of money. And when he paid us, I went back to the van and I told my brother them, I said, I want to do what he doing. They was like, man, you crazy. But I didn't touch it. But what happened was 2006, my son, I tell this story all the time. My son had a seizure. He was in a coma.
Mhm.
And I asked God if he healed my son, I give back to him. At the time, I wasn't promoting, but I was helping George Scott, this major promoter out of Birmingham and Atlanta.
Right.
And I told God I'd give back to him. I didn't know how. But at midnight, my son come out the coma. He was brain dead. And he come out the coma. And 6 months later, George died. And Dexter Weatherspoon, the booking manager for the QCs, called me and asked me to start bringing Lee Williams to Atlanta. And I said, I don't have that kind of money. And God said, hey, you said you was going to give back to me if I healed your son. And I was like, how's that giving back? And he spoke to me and said, if when you have your concerts, he said, you bring your son on stage and you let the people know that I'm a healer and how I healed your son. And he said, if you do that, I'll supply your every need. And that's what got me promoting. concerts because I have a purpose. And that's my purpose, to let people know that God's a healer, because God told me to do it. And for 20 plus years, he did exactly what he said. He was going to supply my every need. And that's where I'm at today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you come up with the name for your promotion group?
Avery,
Mm-hmm.
that's my son's name.
Wow.
I named it after him because God healed him, and God told me to use his name Avery because Avery was the one that God healed. So that's how I come up with Avery. That's my son's middle name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's his middle name. And that's how it's spelled. His mom's Avri. That's how it's
Wow.
spelled. Yeah.
And that name, whether you believe it or not, it rings bells all across the country.
Yeah.
It's a power. That's a powerful name, and I'm glad you're using it. And
Well, Rich, it come good and bad now because, the higher the level, the bigger the devil.
right,
So, I mean, it go both ways. But my purpose is not for fame. My purpose is not, if you ever see my flyers, I never put my picture on the flyer.
right.
I don't ever promote me. I always promote the artist that I'm bringing. And,
Mhm.
I let my work speak for itself. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's been working for you too, because every time somebody see Avery Entertainment at the top of a flyer, they know first of all it's gonna be a good program, and second, the groups will be there.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah, but thank God that I was able to bring the artists because I tell people they don't pay to see me. They don't pay to see Avery Entertainment. If I had a concert and it was just Avery Entertainment, I won't have 20 people. So the people pay for who they want to see.
right.
That's the first thing I learned from a old promoter. Bring who the people want to see, not who you want to see, but you bring who the people want to see, and they'll buy the tickets. And that's one of the things that Lee Williams gave me my platform. I brought Lee for 18 straight years, every year, and every year, man, it was packed. And I
Right.
just brought other groups with him, but that wasn't a Lee Williams. That never would have been a Paul Dorsey.
Wow. I know before Keith died, he would always tell me like anytime a promoter would call and ask him about if Lee or the Cans was on the show, he would say, just go on book it. Like he said, you know you ain't
I'm
got
a,
to worry about your money.
no, you didn't.
He would
Yeah, when you
always say,
had and a lot of groups had good paydays with the Canton Spirituals and Lee Williams.
oh
They, from the 90s when the Cans caught Hope all the way up to Lee Williams to 2019.
mm,
Those were the paydays, man. Those, and Keith. I'm gonna be honest with you. Keith made a big part in gospel music as well.
right,
Um, he made a big part in gospel music as well. When he come in, he Keith was hot.
right.
Yeah. He played a big part. Also because Keith was big in that package too. Now he was big in that package.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I was asking, I was talking to a guy a couple of days ago, and I was asking him why he think like I'm like you were just saying, like, Keith was big or whatever, but it seems like he never really got the love or respect that he really deserved from like the Quartet Nation. I don't know if
Yes, he did.
it,
Yes, he
it
did.
was
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. See what a lot of people fail to realize. Keith was out there a long time. He was out there a long time. Sorry, that's one of my neighbors that was
right,
using my grill. My grill. No, Keith was out there a long time. When Keith come down, when I say on the downside of his career,
mhm,
he didn't have the group anymore, and he wasn't singing with the group anymore, and he was basically singing with the Cantons. He did some things on track by itself,
right,
but man, that was nobody from the time that boy come out in '98 all the way up probably until about 20, I would say 2016 when Keith kind of started. 2015 when he started going down. But man, Keith had more love than anybody. People was crazy. Keith was the only quartet group that could go on a Sunday morning service every Sunday in the city and sing. There was no other quartet groups could do that. Nobody but Keith. He had connection with all the pastors. They loved him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
yeah, yeah. They did. Yeah. No, Keith was well loved. He was well loved, man. He didn't win them Stellar Awards that he won by default.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, that was I would say Keith probably one of the most loved artists, individual artists. Him and Lee Williams was probably
Mm.
the most from 2000 until he stopped really come off the road. I would say Keith and Lee Williams was probably the most individual artists that people loved and most popular was Keith Wonderboy and Lee Williams. Harvey was always,
Yeah,
a legend, but I'm saying, when Keith was hot, yeah, now he got the love, brother. Trust me. Nobody got love like Keith Wonderboy.
I can respect it. It's just I guess the simple fact that from just talking to him, he said he never felt it.
He did. He know
Mm.
what he did. He did. He did. After he didn't feel it after 2015 up to the present time till he died because he didn't have his group anymore. So he really wasn't as relevant as he was before then. But when he was hot and when he was traveling, and then you got to realize 2015, a lot of the groups and young artists now was in elementary school.
Right.
Some was in middle school. They didn't really know Keith Wonderboy. So he's not as relevant to this younger generation than he was from 15 on down.
Mm.
So he was trying to sell himself and make himself like marketable to this young generation from 2015, which they didn't know the old Keith Wonderboy. They didn't see Keith on a lot of TV shows and not TV shows, but like, yeah, gospel TV shows and big concerts where he was dumping houses. They didn't see that. They was too young to see that. So they can only go off of what he told them, unless, they went back and looked. So I think he was basically talking about from 2015 up to the time he passed, he didn't get the love because they didn't really know him like we did. Grew up on Keith.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
yeah.
So I guess honestly from 2015, well, I go back and say like 2012 up to now, like Roy was the one getting like the love and respect and still is.
Yeah, Roy started getting that love, believe it or not.
Mhm.
The day after that show he did in Atlanta, and believe it or not, he only did 15 minutes and he only sung two songs. He only sung two songs. And really, he wasn't even supposed to be on that show.
Really?
No. Bobby Hurd called me 3 weeks before the concert and asked me would I put Roy on there. He said, no, he told me that Roy was going to be doing, Ray Braswell was going to be on the Bobby Hurd show, and he was going to debut Roy's video, Lord, I Thank You.
Mm.
And Ray went on that Tuesday night and he played that Lord, I Thank You. And man, the people went to calling. They was blowing Bobby Hurd's phone up. And he called me and said, hey, you ought to put Keith on your show. He was like, the people are just blowing my phone up. And I was like, nah. I said, I've already got enough because I had the Clouds, I had Doc, I had the Legends, I had Lee. And the people they kept calling. I just told Bobby, look, I'm going to just go ahead and add him. And when I added Lil Roy, man, my tickets went crazy. My ticket sales went crazy. I had 3,700 people that night. I was at Great Traveler Rest. And I think I sold like 1,200 tickets in the last 4 days.
That's
I sold
crazy.
1,200 tickets in the last 4 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. That place was crazy that night. That was crazy because everybody jammed. But Lil Roy stole the show. He stole the show, and after that, man,
Took off.
he was gone. He took off.
And that's
He
how
took off.
I'm definitely I'm a fan first. I know I'm part of the group, but like fan first, like I was it was like crazy how much I used to love them guys, man, because I had never really seen anything like that. Like,
It was he come out there with that mic
hmm
stand, and what was funny, you think about it, I really didn't promote Roy because he wasn't on the commercial, he wasn't on the flyer.
right,
Bobby Hurd he just played Roy on his TV show. He came on Tuesday nights, and when Roy hit Lord I Thank You, it was like maybe 2,000 of the 3,700 people, they all was doing his move,
wow,
and he sold out of product. He sold out of everything that night. He sold out of everything, out, completely out, and he was a hot commodity. And see, that's how Keith was when Keith came out.
hmm
When Keith came out with High Behind the Mountain, he was hot. But when he did that Be Right, he was
right.
hot. Yeah, Keith was hot. Yes, sir. That joke was hot, man. I seen Keith at For Sisters Only. It was they always had R&B groups. He was the only gospel group they ever put on For Sisters Only when they had it here at the World Congress Center.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith came up before Genuine, and Genuine was hot,
Right.
and he killed. He killed. It was like 5,000 people in there.
Wow.
He killed that night, man. He killed. But yeah, Roy, he was, yeah. Roy caught fire, man. And see, Roy is, you don't have, ain't but so many lead singers coming in our lifetime, like Roy and Sean Jones. You don't
Mm,
get those type guys. It's just something special about them.
right.
You know, it's something special about Roy. People just love him. Uh, and Sean was the same way. And Keith, I would say those three in my lifetime,
Mhm.
uh, those three, Keith, Sean, and Roy, I've seen that people just love them. They just took to them in my lifetime.
I
Yeah,
got you. I can see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I know just from being on the road and stuff with him is more so just personality. Most people just flock to you just because of how you act.
yeah,
Talent too, like he got like he's extremely smart on stage. Like I can't really think of a bad performance we just had like that. If it was bad, like it'll be like kind of middle ways, and then it just would make up for it. But as far as like just smart, him and Alan Pringle, some of the smartest guys I've ever came across on
yeah,
stage.
yeah. Alan is smart. Alan is smart. Alan been out there a long time. He knows the road. He knows how to come up behind you. He knows how to come up in front of you. Um, but Roy it's just something about little Roy. This I'm not taking away from Alan or any other lead singer,
Right.
but Roy just special.
He
He's
is.
special. Yeah, he's special. He is. He's special.
And he's one of the only groups that I can think of that where you can just like from start to finish, you can listen to every song from a live set and not get tired of it.
Yeah. And see, Keith was like that when he came out with Live and Alive,
Mhm.
with that Be Right. Every song that was on that Live and Alive reminded me of Roy. Thank you. That first Roy did. Thank you. That reminded me of Keith. Everything you played on that, everybody was singing all Keith songs, just like
Right.
everybody's singing all Roy's songs off that
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
You project. Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
It's crazy because we was in Butler, Georgia last week, and we did Still Got Joy. You know, that's everybody loved that song, but once we got to hanging Dr. Jesus, it was a wrap. So I said, hey man, I love Still Got Joy, but you can never stop that Dr. Jesus, you just can't stop singing it.
Well, it's funny. Um, Dr. Jesus really, Roy. To me, if I'm, and he knows better than I do. I didn't really see Roy start hooking at Dr. Jesus till about 2016, 17.
We changed the
Uh,
tempo. Yep.
yeah,
We
yeah,
changed the
yeah,
tempo and slowed it down a little bit.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right the time it was.
yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
he really wasn't known for driving because he didn't have to.
Then yeah, he killed it
Because
every time.
he had all those other songs. My God Knows It All. Now
Mhm.
that was a big one.
Right.
Yeah, that was a big one. My God Knows It All. I mean, Thank You was big, but My God Knows It All was a big song. Yeah, that was a big song too. So that's what I'm saying. Roy had those type tempo songs to
Mhm.
where he didn't have to drive, and then he changed that Dr. Jesus, and he made a stiff drive out of it.
Yep, that's exactly
Yeah,
what did it. We just
yeah,
you slowed it because it was a bit fast, so we just dialed that tempo back just a little bit, so where you can lock in and he can say what he want to say, and
because I didn't know he could drive like that because he didn't have to.
he didn't. Yeah, he never really had to.
Nah, he never really had to.
Yeah, but like you said, all those other songs, "He's My Everything," "Prayer Wheel,"
Prayer
and you
Way,
got to
yeah.
think we well before I got there, they toured off that one album from like what 2012 to 2016
They
because
did.
Blessed by the Best didn't come out to like 2017. That's a long time, man.
And be honest with you now, he can still sing them songs.
Yeah,
Yeah, he can still sing those songs off that first CD he did.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's like sometimes he'll do something off Blessed by the Best, and then off the Still Got Joy album. But that first album, man, that was like lightning in a bottle. So
Yeah.
um, I appreciate it, man, and I'm glad you was able to help break him through like that because it helped
Well,
us.
well, I mean, all I did was gave him the opportunity. He made it work because you think about any group never that's not even on the program. That's not even the record haven't even they released it the day of my concert. The week of my few days. Ray actually, I think he picked the DVDs and the CDs up maybe
That was perfect timing.
like that Thursday. So they haven't even sent it. It hadn't even went to the radio stations. They
Wow,
just had released. Yeah, he did the debut at my concert with it. Yeah,
that's that's
and
stuff
to
like that
make
don't
a
happen every day.
nah, it don't. It don't. It doesn't happen. And he just was going thinking that it was his first time in Atlanta. It was a big show, and he was just gonna go perform. But I don't think he had an idea that the impact that it was gonna have.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It had a big impact. Yeah.
And he came up number one on the concert.
No, he wasn't number one. I think he was number three.
Okay.
Yeah, he only had 15 minutes, and he only sung two songs, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to. I remember that night, man. Just it was crazy. It was crazy. And then after the program, everybody was selling CDs. Doc, that night, I'm gonna be honest with you, everybody went up in that house. Allen went up in that house. Allen came behind Roy.
Mhm.
And Doc McKenzie went up in that house that night, brother. Um, Lee Williams, Lee did what they did, but Joe Lagun killed everybody. He killed everybody that night.
It
Yes,
don't
sir, he
compare, man.
did. He killed everybody that night, dog. That was Joe Lagun killed everybody that night. He killed
Man.
them. Now everybody jammed. Don't get me wrong. Everybody
Yeah.
went up in that house, but but see, you got to think the Clouds hadn't been here at that time. They hadn't been here like to Atlanta in like 10 years or 15 years. So the people was ready to see Joe Lagun.
Right.
Yeah, they was ready to see him.
Hate I never got a chance to see him, man. That's my favorite lead singer. Never got a
I
chance to
wish
see him.
I wish you could have saw Keith in 2007, 6 when
Shit, man.
it was Lee, Doc. No, it was Lee, the Cantons, Keith, George Dean, and the Golden Wings, and the Golden
Okay.
Wings, and Keith killed. I think it was about 4,000 people that night. Keith killed that house that night, bad man. He killed that house bad. I'm
I can
talking
only
about
imagine.
Keith. He dumped that bad boy. He dumped it. He killed it bad. I won a $500 bet off of Keith that night. Yeah,
What was the bet?
that he was gonna dump the house.
Mm,
Yeah, Keith. That was Keith's night. That
yeah.
was his night. Yes, sir. That was Keith's night, doc. I mean, it was packed. It was packed. So I mean, God has blessed me, Richard, to have a lot of good. I was thinking the other day. I look back, and a lot of people see the concerts I had this past year, and um, I had in Sumter a couple of those years. But my biggest shows was back in the day, man.
Mm.
You know, when I that 2012, believe it or not, my biggest concert was in 2013, the year after I brought Roy. And I had Lee, Blessed by Four, Doc, and the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Mm. That was a good
That was
package.
that was my big. I had 4,700 people. Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Okay, so
That was my biggest concert.
what is, because I'm trying to figure out what is like your process when say you getting ready to do a show. Let's say you want to do something at the end of the year. What do you do? Like what are some things that you do to prepare, and how do you pick groups and the venue? Like what do you do?
Um, that's a good question. I picked the venue. I always pick a venue that's three times the size that I need to for my budget. I see a lot of people, promoters. I try to, a lot of the mentors that people come to me and they budget would be their budget would be 15,000, and they go to a venue that if they sold every ticket, it was only going to be 10,000.
Mm.
So they still was going to be upside down. Even if the place packed out, they still going to be upside down. You have to go to a venue that holds three times the size of your budget. So you doubling your money. How I choose my groups, I always try to get a top headliner. I always try to get a headliner that I know the people want to hear. That's why if you go down the history of all of my concerts, I always had a big, big, big name for a headliner.
Right.
Always, yeah. Clark's sister, Shirley, Rand and Lee, Harvey, the Clouds. Out of all of my years, those were my headliners.
Mm.
Those were my headliners. The Cantons. I think I said the Cantons, but yeah, those were my headliners. I always had to have. And then I always, a lot of times I was always not trying to give enough younger groups to book a lot of young artists. But as a promoter, you can't book everybody. And as
I've
a
heard you say that
promoter,
before. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and as a promoter, you got to sell tickets. So my theory has always been, back to what I said earlier, I try to book that I think that people want to see in Atlanta. Now, what works in Atlanta for me may not work in South Carolina. It may not
Right.
work in Chicago. It may not work in Alabama for another promoter or New York for another promoter. It may be other groups that may work for them, not just for me. So, know your area. I only bring the groups that I feel that works in Atlanta
Right.
that I could sell tickets off of. So that's how I come up with, like this past year, the Jackson Southern Airs, which Huey didn't get a chance to sing because he passed, but the Jackson Southern Airs was a big group here back in the day, man. And
Mm.
the Swanee Quintet have always been a big group in Atlanta, always,
Right.
always. Doc McKenzie, the Cantons, Shirley big everywhere. I never booked Luther Barnes, but Luther Barnes used to come here a lot back in the day. So I tried to go back and bring a lot of those groups that the other big promoters used to bring here that the people remembered.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, do you have like a collective as far as like a team to help you with different things, or do you kind of do everything yourself? Like you have a staff?
I have a staff.
Okay.
I have a staff. Actually, Brandon Walker is my administrator. Um, she handles all my contracts. She handles everything. Connie Burke works along with me. Um, Sonia Maddox, which is she's the stage production, but Sonia have been with me a long time. She went from uh, a vendor when 2010 to she was before she started doing stage management for me. She was working at the door. She was doing administrative stuff. She did a little bit of everything. Yolanda Prime,
Mhm.
called her 99. She did a lot of things. So yeah, those are my staff. And then I have a lot of staff that works at the, but I would say those are the main key people for Ava Entertainment.
Okay. How do you go about advertising your concerts?
Any way I can, in radio, TV, streets, social media, anything. If I don't, any kind of newspaper, any way, flyers, any way I can get the word out.
Mhm.
Any way I can get the word out. But I will honestly say my main source of getting my word out is radio.
Radio.
Radio. Yes, it is. It's
And
radio,
people
brother.
claim that radio don't really work these days. A lot of people tend to think that for some reason.
Well, it depends on what kind of show they're trying to have.
Mhm.
If you're trying to get 500 people, of course radio ain't gonna work for you.
Right.
You're trying to get 300 people, radio ain't gonna work for you. But if you trying to get 3,000, 4,000 people, radio works for you. It works for you. Trust me when I tell you, it works for you. So
Mm.
it depends on what it depends on, what everybody trying to get. And then a lot of times you got people that spend a lot of money on radio and still don't draw people. Maybe they don't, it could be the headliner.
Right.
They don't have the right headliner. Or a lot of times, a lot of people don't believe this, but it's the time of season when you have your show. You can
Yeah.
have your show you can have your concert at a bad time of the season. I always said from June to August, that's some rough months. That's some rough months to have a concert because those are school just let out, summer vacations, summer concerts, family reunions, people traveling. It's hot. I say I get mid August maybe, maybe right. I would say about the 1st of August. Uh, People started back going out, but let me just say June and July. Those are rough months. Those are rough months. Not just rough month for quartet, it's rough month for churches because a lot of the tide go down in the summertime in churches. You're a musician, they'll tell you, you know, churches don't make a lot of money in summertime because people don't pay tithes in the summer. They
Mhm.
go on vacations, they go out of town, they got family reunions. So people find ways to spend their money other than going to concerts in the summertime. Yeah, those
December
are
is a
two
rough
rough
time
months.
too.
December. Then after August, I would say September, October is good months. November. If you hit the first 2 weeks of November, you may be all right. But after that, it ain't good
Right.
till after. It ain't good till after January. To January.
Right.
January to I would say January to maybe the first or second week to up to Mother's Day. Those are good months.
Right.
Those are good months. Income tax. You know, People ready to get back out. Spring, the winter time is over. People ready to spend money. Sun coming out. It's warm. It's spring. They ready to get out, go. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
it's crazy how that's just like a continual cycle. Like you already know what to expect every single year.
You know what to expect. But
Mhm.
now, back in the day, now I got to admit, back in the day, it didn't matter what time of the year, man. People went. It could be in the middle of July, man. Concert was packed back then. It
Right.
could be year round, but it was a different time. It was
Yeah.
it was a different time. We come at a different time, and that's when Quartet owned radio.
Like your Willie Neal Johnsons and people like that.
That's when Quartet owned radio. Yeah, yeah.
Um, do you have anything you working on for the year for the end of the year or anything, or you gonna wait off
Nothing,
next year? Okay,
nothing,
I got you.
nothing. Once a year for me now. Nothing. I'm just sitting back and I'm enjoying other people concerts, getting out of the way, let other people do their thing. And I tell people after your concert is over, sit down, let somebody else have their turn.
Right.
Let some other promoter promote their concerts. You had your chance. I had mine from January to April the 5th. I'm done. I'm not doing nothing. I'm letting other people have their time, their spotlight to get their shows over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gloating. I didn't. I had a sellout, but I'm not gloating. It's over. and you're
Right.
only good as your last concert. So nobody really cares about April the 5th anymore until next time.
Right. And one thing I can say about you, you are supportive. Like you support other people's concerts because you came to the one I did in Griffin a couple of years back.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
you are supportive. I got to give it to
yeah,
you.
yeah. I go to support. And one of the things I was just telling Terrence, my good friend from Blessed by Four, we talk every day, man, and we love quartet. And I was telling Terrence, he was like, Dorsey, man, he was rushing I was at Blessed by Four anniversary, and he saw me standing in line, and he was like, man, he said, Dorsey, I'm sorry, man. I said, you don't have to apologize. I go stand in line and I pay to get in everybody else's program,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I support people. Yeah.
Yep. Because you want, I mean, like you said, when yours come around, you want that same,
Yeah. Well, when I go to other people program, I'm not even entertainment. I'm Paul Dorsey.
Right,
I'm at
right.
I'm at the event.
Yep.
I
And
don't
I've
pay to
had
get
people
in mine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that want you to come through the back door, like, nah, nope.
Nah,
Because when it's
I go
time,
through.
because you ain't coming through the back door on my show.
I yeah. But I mean, everybody, you can't pay people if you don't sell tickets.
Right.
Some people are fortunate already have the money,
Hmm.
and some people are not. You got to pay people. You got to sell tickets. That's the name of the game. At the end of the day, man, the name of the game as a promoter, you in the business to sell tickets. You don't
Right.
sell tickets, you can't pay people.
As simple as that.
Simple as that.
So that's why when people always, well, you got something that I would be like, well, y'all ain't doing this for the right reason, and this, and that. Like, hey, this the music, this the business. At
It's a
the
bit.
end of
It's a
the day,
business. It's a
right.
business. It's a business.
Mm,
That's industry and ministry, and it's different. You got the industry part, you got the ministry part,
right.
and people got to be paid, compensated for traveling, and I get it. I mean, why should an artist not get paid when a promoter puts on a show and he gets paid for selling
Hmm.
tickets?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm selling tickets. Why shouldn't I pay the artist? I'm making money.
Exactly.
The sound man making money. The church making money.
Hmm.
Radio making money off the artist because you got to pay the radio station to announce them. So why should the artist be compensated?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ones who people coming to see.
The one that people paying to see. They're not paying to see the promoter.
Right.
Ain't no promoter out here. I don't care how big he is. Can't no promoter out here, and I don't care how long they've been in the business. Can't no promoter out here draw 2,000 people just with their name.
Can't do it.
I don't care who it is.
Nope. So, what else I had? Oh, I see. Someone said, "Have you ever thought about changing your venues from church buildings to an entertainment venue?"
No, because that's when you get into that union. That's when you get into ticket masters. You have to switch over to ticket masters. You gotta pay union fees and all that different type stuff, man. It's a whole different ball game. Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, man. I don't want to get all in. And then people got to pay to park. They have to pay $40, $30, depending on where you have it at to park. Sometimes the parking costs more than what the ticket costs.
Right.
I
Right.
just I rather keep it simple at a church. People don't have to pay to park. Uh, yeah, you when you go to those civic centers and then a lot of them, they sell alcohol. You can't stop them.
You can't.
No, you can't stop them. And you have no control over what they sell.
Nope.
You have no control, and I don't want people buying liquor at my concert. I've
Right.
been to a lot of gospel concerts at the Fox, at civic centers. They sell liquor. They sell alcohol. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And once again, I mean, that's part of the business of on
That's
that
part
side.
of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they be buying it. They be buying it. They buy it, and they go in there and they listen to Shirley. They listen to the Cantons. They listen and they buy it, man. I'm talking about they buy it.
Feeling
Yeah,
good.
and ain't that hey, they ain't hiding it either.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't get off into those for those two reasons.
Got you. Okay. And with this, you don't have to. Of course, you ain't got to get no name. Uh, have you ever had an artist that wanted to work with you but just had like some very unreasonable like requests or demands?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. Nobody never came to me with a demand.
Mhm.
No, nobody that I considered a. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are you talking about an artist that I booked?
That you booked
A, a
or
major,
wanted you to book?
a
Yeah, like
major.
not a major.
Yes,
Okay, okay. Well,
not a
just
major.
go into it. Go into it. You just tell us whatever it was.
The Clark sisters is one of the only group that had crazy demands that I yeah, it was the Clark sisters. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the only group that. But then you have to realize they're used to that, right?
Right. Right.
What they asking me for, they weren't asking me their demands that they was asking me for. It had nothing to do because it was me or they was. That's what they used to.
This is right.
They used to getting that VIP treatment. Now you're a gospel, you're a quartet promoter trying to book us. We ain't having no mercy on you. We expect the same thing,
Mm.
and that's the biggest. That's the biggest artist I ever paid was the Clark sisters.
Wow.
Yeah, because of
So,
their demands.
uh, can you give us some like some of the demands that they had?
Their flights, how they wanted me to do their flights,
Mhm.
their living accommodations, where they wanted to stay, how they wanted to be picked up. Uh, so far as uh, their dressing rooms, what's to go in their dressing rooms. Um, yeah, yeah. Now they so far as with the Clark sisters themselves, oh man, they're wonderful. It was the
Mhm.
management.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's
Yeah,
management. Okay,
yeah, it was the management. But again, that's what they used to. So
right,
it's like, hey, who are you? We got people way bigger than you booking us for 20, 30,000 more than what you paying us. So you ought to be lucky that you got us. Hey,
right.
that's how. And one thing about if you're a quartet promoter, and a lot of Jimmy Spivey knows this, Glenn Stevenson, Ricky DeRay, Elijah Ray, those guys, those are my mentors. I don't think people ever heard me say that, but Jimmy Spivey, Glenn Stevenson, Ricky DeRay, Elijah Ray, James Gamble,
Hmm.
James Gamble that did the blockbuster,
Right, right,
uh, Esmond Patterson. Yeah, those was my mentors, and those guys understand how it works when you're dealing with contemporary artists. It's totally different, totally different.
Mhm. But I mean, you made it work. So
Yeah,
how about
with God,
was Shirley a little easier than the Clark sisters to work with?
Shirley is way easier.
Wow.
Because what number one, you're not going to deal with Shirley anyway.
Hmm.
You deal with her management, Carolyn. But Carolyn is so simple. She easy. The difference in a lot of and I don't really consider Shirley contemporary,
Right.
but she's a legend. So Carolyn's a little bit traditional. She a little bit, but like contemporary artists, a lot of times we start promoting concerts 3 months, 4 months ahead of time. Well, the
Hmm.
contemporary artist not going to give you no love until maybe the last 3 weeks because they got other things going on. So they like, look, we got other big shows before you. Then when it comes around about the last 3 weeks, then they'll call you and say, okay, we ready. So that's what you got to get used to when you're dealing with a contemporary. They ain't gonna give you that kind of love. You got to really, really get it out of them to get a phone call, to get a return email. They're not. They got bigger venues. They got bigger concerts before you, so they're not gonna show you no love.
It's funny you say that because I've reached out to some of the people on the contemporary side as far as doing interviews, and I've got to I talked to the person on the inside, and they was like, most of them really won't do it just because it's like I'm still new and you don't have a big following yet. So a lot of people kind of look at that is
Well,
like,
it's not that. It's not that. It's the fact that nobody wants to do an interview or something like that they know other people making money off of, right? They know now. even on Facebook or anything that you do now, YouTube, you can use their likeness to make money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they worry about that. Like if you ain't trying to pay them, then they ain't trying to do nothing.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
Bobby Jones, if you Bobby Jones or something, see, but that has to benefit them in a different way.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. Because a
But
lot
they
of them either
just
want your following or like us, they want some. They got a pretty hefty price tag too. So
it got a price tag. It is. Yeah.
mm, I had one. I had one guy tell me he needed it was 500 an hour. I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about
Yeah.
it.
But guess what? Don't worry about it, Richard. Because guess what? One day,
Oh
what
yeah.
goes up, what goes up, remember this, what goes up always got to come down. Just like that same person that needed that 500 an hour, one day God gonna bless your what you're doing. And that same person that wanted to charge you $500 an hour, they're gonna turn around and they're gonna pay you $500 an hour just to do an interview with you.
I'm believing it.
Oh
I
yeah.
am believing it. Yeah, I'm
Oh yeah.
believing that because
Always remember what goes up got to come down. And when they come down, you're gonna be right there waiting on them.
right there. Well,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
all I'm gonna say is, you ready now?
yeah,
Yeah, but it's just it's just all about building and just pushing forward. That's all you really can do, honestly.
yeah, yeah. And that's all you can do. What's the word? Delayed don't mean denied.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was turned down by sponsors when I first started. They laughed at me. Wouldn't even take my phone call. I was just telling somebody the other day, Saturday, that was a sponsor I got down. One of my biggest sponsors. They wouldn't even take my. I couldn't even get the manager on the owner on the phone.
Mm,
They sent me all around the world. They used to hang up. Now because he seen me bringing in Clark Sisters, he saw me bringing in Shirley, Rance Allen, Cantons, and now, hey, I got him on speed dial, his personal number. So and that's with groups and artists, young groups today. If call and a promoter don't put you on a show, that ain't the end of the world. It's not the
no,
end of the world. It's not the end of the world because you don't sing in Atlanta, Georgia for Paul Dorsey. Paul Dorsey ain't the only promoter out here that can be a big influence on quartet for people. I'm
right.
not. I'm not. I'm just a small fish in a big pond. Cause quartet is bigger than me. Yeah, it's bigger than all of us.
Right.
It was here when we was before we came. It's gonna be here when we all dead and gone. Yeah.
You're right.
None of us is bigger than quartet. None of us. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Now there's not one person in this market have more influence on anybody than quartet itself.
You're right.
Don't let nobody fool you.
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just got to, like, us as artists and like the consumers and fans got to do a little better job at preserving it and treating it like it's supposed to be treated and
Yeah.
upholding to the standard.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to that. And, my only thing is, if we got radio like we used to, we wouldn't even be talking about this because a lot of these groups that haven't got heard, man, they'll be nominated for the Stellars, they'll be winning Stellars because the way they do the Stellars voting now is different than years ago.
Mhm.
If your song wasn't on the chart back then, you didn't. If it wasn't on the chart, you didn't get nominated for Stellar Awards. If it wasn't in the chart.
Mhm.
The criteria to be on the Stellar Awards is different than it is now.
Right. Because I ain't gonna lie, man. It's some people that's nominated. It's like, bro, I've never even seen you, like, heard your name anywhere.
They never
But
would have been they never would have been nominated 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Never
right.
would have been nominated. No, it wouldn't have. But is that to say, is it fair to where they made it possible for a lot of groups that can't get known, that they are giving some love because they can't get radio, is that fair for them not to be nominated? So I
Mm,
think, I think it's a good thing that groups that are being nominated now that couldn't get nominated back in the day, I can say it's fair to give those people a chance.
right.
Yeah, I can say that's fair.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say the genre right now is it's in a good place, and like you said, it's gonna be here when we dead and gone. We just have to just clean up little things here and there because as we seen from Gospel Legends anniversary to your show, people still they love quartet gospel.
Well, quartet is bigger, and this is why I said quartet is bigger than any of us,
Mm,
because you always remember this. I tell people this all the time. You have two types of people in quartet. You have
mm.
your industry people, and you have your ticket buyers. Your ticket buyers, they don't know about all this stuff on social media, whether it's good or bad. They don't be on social media like that. They just get a flyer or they hear it on the radio
And they
or
coming.
some, and they buy a ticket. They don't
Mhm.
know what happened in one of the artist's personal life. They don't know nothing about an artist getting arrested or artist getting a fight, or they don't know none of that stuff. They don't know none of that stuff. Only the industry people know because we're in the industry. We know what's going on.
Behind the
But
scenes, yeah.
behind the scene, but the ticket buyers, they don't know none of that stuff. If they did, they wouldn't buy tickets. And that's why I say quartet is bigger than any of us. It's bigger than any of us. Always remember, you got your industry people and you have your ticket buyers. And your ticket buyers are the most important people in the quartet, are your ticket buyers. Those are your most important people because those are the people that support you, me, the promoters, the artists, everybody getting paid. Those are the most important people, are your industry people. So stop focusing and stop worrying about how the industry feel about you. Because honestly, the industry is your competition.
And they ain't
They're
buying
not that
tickets.
they're not your supporter, they're your competition.
Right.
So if you worried about what the industry is saying about you, you wasting your time. Just worry about the ticket buyers. Just yeah, focus on the ticket buyers because those are your supporters. Yeah.
Okay. And so that brings me to this. How can the ones because I don't want to blame social media for what goes on most times, but how do you feel like artists can get back to that to like the level of where I'm the artist and you the fan. It ain't no. It's like not an in between to where you mingling and all that. Like to keep that line from being so blurred. What do you think the artists have to do in that regards? Do you
But
think it might need to like as far as like how you got some people go on Clubhouse talking or go on Facebook talking and it's like they kind of get a little too acceptable, like not accessible. Do you think that's a problem?
well, I it's a problem only to a person in the industry that they need that connection to, if I'm making sense. Like if they don't want to piss off the wrong promoter because they saw him acting crazy or whatever on social media, and that promoter be like, nah, I don't want to deal with them, or just anything to where it's going to cause you to lose money, or somebody just they don't want to do business with you.
Mm,
But I mean, we live in a different time now to where no matter what goes on social media, no matter what group something happens or what person or what artist, they still singing. It don't stop nothing.
right.
It don't stop nothing. There's nobody on social media to where they did anything so wrong to where ain't nobody booking them or
Hmm.
like want nobody to touch them. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. We live in a forgiving society. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We live in a forgiving society. That was one time I went on someone's platform and I cursed and uh, I went at Keith and I shouldn't have, and I should have handled that off social media, but I didn't. And a lot of people say, "Oh, Paul Dorsey, oh, you're done. You hurt your reputation, or you gotta." They don't hurt nobody's reputation.
No.
It don't, because we live in a forgiving society, man. This the
Mhm.
world we live in. It's social
Right.
media. You know what I'm saying? It's part of, believe it or not, it's part of entertainment. It's not good, but it's part of entertainment. When the artists hurt themselves, is when the ticket buyers don't want to see you no more.
Mm.
Now, when the ticket buyers don't want to see you no more, the people that buying the tickets don't want to see you no more, then we got a problem.
That's the issue.
That's the issue. Yeah. Industry people, we argue all the time. Most of your 90% of your 95% of your industry people, that's who on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it never stopped nobody, man. I mean, you know, sometimes bad publicity in this day and time is good publicity.
True.
Even though it's gospel, but that's the world we live in now. That's the world we live in now.
Because I think about when everybody was getting on the Tim about what he said about hell and stuff, and it's like after he said that, it shot him and the group into like a whole nother stratosphere.
Well, Tim admitted it himself, that, you know, he admitted it to me personally that that comment hurt a little bit, so far as his performance, so far as bookings and stuff, because you know certain people felt different about different things about, you know, what he said, but it didn't stop him from traveling. It didn't stop. He's pastoring a church now.
Right.
He's pastoring a nice church now. So, you know, it didn't stop him. You know,
Not at all.
yeah.
And it's sad because it's like people trying to hold artists to like these unrealistic expectations, want you to be robots and think that they walking right beside Jesus, and that ain't the case.
No, it's not.
Yeah, everybody go through stuff. Everybody do stuff. It's like, what do you do when people ain't looking? Like when you get behind the closed doors, and
Exactly.
people they don't understand that. So I don't judge nobody because we all got stuff we need to work on, and we got stuff that we do that maybe we don't have no business doing. So it's just a matter of, like you said, we're living in a forgiving society these days.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have made it to our hour mark, and I sure appreciate you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. And like I say, Quartet here to stay. I thank you for this interview, and keep doing what you're doing, Richard.
Trying. That's the goal, to keep on keeping on.
Okay.
If let's see, if you could go back and tell your younger self any kind of piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
That's something I have to think about.
Anything.
If I have to tell my younger self, just make better choices. Make better
Right.
choices. And that's with anybody. Make better choices. Yeah. Yeah. Make better choices. Yeah.
Okay.
But I made a lot of choices growing up that I made some bad choices.
Yeah, like we all have.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's all, man, I appreciate you for coming on, brother, and we will definitely look forward to getting back with you because I want
Okay.
to work on something else, like where I can do like almost like a round table discussion and bring you back and some other people.
Okay.
So, want to work on that.
All right, Richard.
I appreciate it, Paul.
All right.
All right, we'll talk. Paul Dorsey, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Dorsey. Give him a great big. Let's fix that. Paul Dorsey. Well, we have made it through another successful episode of our new rebrand of Let's Have a Conversation. We have another great interview coming up. I ain't gonna spoil it just yet. We got a couple lined up in the next few weeks. So we just ask that y'all just stay patient. If you have any ideas of people that you would like for us to interview, inbox me, let me know. I'll reach out. Only thing I can do is ask. Any artists, like I said, promoters, anybody. If y'all feel like somebody need a story need to be told, or somebody you might be interested in interviewing, just let me know. Not a hard guy to reach, not a hard guy to contact or talk to. But until then, I'm about to go get me some good food, And y'all enjoy y'all Memorial holiday. Y'all be safe. The police are out. And if you in Georgia, do not text and drive or have that phone in your hand because them people are looking. Until then, we will see y'all next time. Peace.